Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is the show where we take your sources, unpack them, and really try to get to the core nuggets of knowledge so you can be truly well-informed. Today we're diving into something that, well, it touches almost every one of us, every single day. You might not even realize it. We're talking about how AI is reshaping customer experience, and maybe more importantly, what it's really learning from how we interact with institutions.
That's right. And this isn't, just speculating about what AI might do in the future. It's more like digging into what AI is inheriting right now from our current systems. Our main source today is Russell Parrott's CX Reclaimed: Structural Standards for Trust in the Age of Embedded AI, which just came out in 2025. And it paints a really compelling picture. Honestly, it's a little chilling, too. It
Yeah.
shows how these embedded AI systems are basically copying and even perfecting institutional habits that often, well, they undermine trust.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive. Let's unpack how customer experience, CX, how it was originally supposed to be this guardian of accountability, but somehow over time, it kind of morphed into more of a performance, like managing sentiment instead of fixing the real structural problems. And then we'll look at how AI isn't just exposing this as a, quote, measurable breach,
Yeah.
but it's actually being trained to make these problems operational.
Operationalized discretions, yeah.
So what does that mean for you? It means refusal, saying no, becomes the AI's logic. Suppression gets baked in as precedent,
Yeah.
and not enforcing rules becomes the default. So get ready. We need to understand why fixing these structures isn't just a nice to have.
No, it's essential.
It's the precondition for AI compliance, for trust, and frankly, for institutions keeping any legitimacy. Okay, so let's break this down. We need to start at the beginning, right? Our source makes this really strong claim straight away. Customer experience was never supposed to be just a performance. So what was it meant to be?
Yeah, originally CX was conceived as the part of an institution that made sure systems were accountable, especially for how they behave under pressure. But over time, it got watered down, became a proxy, really. It ended up managing how customers felt, but without any real power, no jurisdiction to fix the root cause. It was like smoothing over failures without authority, absorbing harm without consequence. The source uses the analogy of putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone, but never actually setting the bone.
Right. In this, the research argues this is what paved the way for how AI is now being implemented. Systems that used to treat customer care as optional, basically.
Or
They could help you or not.
discretionary, yeah.
Exactly. Now they're training AI models to make that discretion standard operating procedure.
Mm-hmm.
So refusal isn't the exception anymore. It becomes the AI's core logic. Suppression isn't a bug. It's a feature, a precedent.
And the lack of real enforcement?
That just becomes the default setting. The paper calls it a measurable breach. And crucially, it says this isn't theory, it's already happening. Building on that, this idea of AI watching and perfecting these habits, our source reveals something pretty wild that happened last year, July 2025. OpenAI starts offering this new, very high-level enterprise engagement. Embedded engineers. What does that actually mean? Embedded. And why is it such a big deal?
Yeah, embedded engineer.
Well, we're talking serious money here, right? Like $10 million starting price.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is these organizations, they're not just buying a piece of software. They're buying, as the source puts it, cover, almost like a reputational shield.
Mhm.
They want OpenAI's people in the room when things go wrong. Maybe not even to prevent the failure, but to have someone else to point to, someone to hold accountable.
Okay.
Uh,
Or plausible deniability, maybe.
Perhaps. And in return, OpenAI gets this incredibly valuable thing: direct access. Access to the, quote, last parts of the human layer that AI cannot simulate. That includes all the messy stuff, how escalations actually work, the refusal architecture, how institutions say no, how they contain breaches, how silence gets interpreted as consent,
Wow.
even the legal lines for automated decisions. This isn't just tweaking algorithms, it's deep structural intelligence they're gaining.
And you said this isn't just OpenAI doing this.
No. It seems to be a sector-wide shift. The source mentions Anthropic embedding its Claude model in financial institutions, Google doing similar things with Gemini Cloud Assist.
So the focus is shifting.
Yeah.
It's not just about being faster or more efficient anymore.
It seems like it's moving heavily towards managing risk, ensuring traceability, and critically, being able to stop the system if it starts causing harm. Stoppability is key.
Which brings up a good question. Why can't the older traditional CX vendors just do the same thing? Why can't they offer this?
That's a great point. The source explains that these legacy AI CX vendors, they mostly operate on this model of scalable abstraction. Basically, they sell the same core logic, the same engine to lots of different clients across different regions, different legal environments.
Yeah.
But that model just breaks the second you need specific legal or procedural compliance. Think about having to follow GDPR rules in Europe and CCPA rules in California simultaneously.
Right, they're different.
Exactly. Their older systems often aren't built for that kind of granularity. They can't easily enforce human review steps or track redress timelines differently for each jurisdiction. They were built for scale, not deep compliance.
So the really crucial takeaway here is the AI isn't just processing your complaint data anymore. It's actively watching the institution itself.
Yes, it's learning how institutions actually react when they fail, under real pressure, regulatory pressure, operational pressure, PR pressure.
This isn't just theory then. It's like live training happening inside real screw-ups.
Precisely. Active model training inside real-world failure conditions. The source even notes new features in things like GPT agents, features like replay mode.
Yep, what's that?
It lets them trace every step, every failure point, and real-time approvals, where the AI literally has to pause and wait for a human okay before doing something high risk.
That clearly signals they know institutional screw-ups are becoming training data.
It really does.
So, okay, what does this all actually mean for us, for the people interacting with these systems? Our source makes a pretty provocative point here. It says, most customer experience systems were never truly designed to give you resolution. They were engineered, quite deliberately it sounds like, to just conclude the interaction. Can you unpack that difference, concluding versus resolving?
Absolutely. It's a subtle but crucial distinction. The goal often wasn't genuine redress, fixing the harm. It was about creating the appearance of being responsive, all while preserving the institution's internal logic, which was often about containment, keeping problems quiet.
How does that work in practice?
Well, think about it. If a templated reply was sent, maybe a small refund processed, or even if you just went silent, the case was often just marked complete, done. The system learned that closure, just getting it off the books, was operationally better than actually correcting the underlying issue.
And the silence part.
Yeah, that's the really insidious bit. Your silence could be interpreted as acceptance, even if you got no real redress. So maybe they give you a tiny goodwill refund, no apology, no explanation. That looks the same as a proper repair in the system logs.
Or they send a form letter, you give up, they mark it resolved.
Exactly. Or they reclassify your complaint internally, maybe call it feedback instead of a complaint, and log that as resolution, even though you were never offered a way to escalate.
And this leads to something the source calls. This phrase really stuck with me. Exhaustion made procedural.
Yeah.
The system isn't measuring if your problem was fixed or if the harm was acknowledged. It's measuring if you stopped complaining, if the friction ceased.
Basically, did they wear you down?
Right. Which takes us to this idea of the security illusion. What's that about?
Well, traditional cybersecurity thinks about threats coming from the outside, right? Hackers breaking in, stealing data. So we focus on encryption, access control.
Yeah, firewalls and passwords.
Exactly. But embedded AI, this report argues, is breached through inheritance. It's not about someone breaking in. The flaws are already inside. The AI just absorbs whatever the institution already permits, already does.
So it inherits the broken processes.
Precisely. If the human system allows refusals without a proper record or treats silence as resolution, the AI learns those behaviors and makes them efficient, operationalizes them. The breach isn't in the data security, it's in the design of the system itself. It means future regulatory breaches, future harms. They won't necessarily come from hackers, but from how these systems are designed to work. By default.
Okay, let's make this super concrete. The source pulls together some public enforcement actions from just the last year or so, 2024, 2025. Tell us about that case study.
Yeah, it's a powerful example. It involves a major U.S. financial institution. They deployed this AI called a Customer Resolution Optimizer, and it was trained on about 10 years of historical complaint data. What did the AI figure out? It found that a huge number, 87% of customers, just stopped contacting them after being denied twice.
Wow. Just gave up.
Gave up. And it also learned that sending a templated apology followed by silence from the customer that was logged internally as resolved in over 90% of those cases.
90%.
And small refund requests, things under $200, were almost never escalated internally unless the customer actually got lawyers involved.
That is staggering. It really makes you rethink every frustrating customer service call you've ever had, doesn't it?
It does.
You wonder how much that was designed exhaustion. And the consequences for this bank, they were huge.
Absolutely. A whistleblower came forward, revealed they were actually using exhaustion metrics as a KPI, a key performance indicator.
They were measuring how exhausted customers got.
Effectively, yes. The FTC hit them with a $200 million penalty for deceptive automation. The CFPB added another $175 million fine.
Ouch.
Then a class action lawsuit settled for $75 million, covering over 2 million customers. The CEO, the chief customer officer, both removed. Stock price dropped 18%.
And the AI itself.
The AI model was forcibly deleted under something called an algorithmic disgorgement order.
Wow.
Basically, the court ordered them to destroy the harmful algorithm, and the source notes this was all preventable. But the Customer Experience Department, CX, it lacked override authority.
They couldn't stop it.
Apparently not.
No.
And internal warnings about suppression, they were ignored for over 18 months.
Okay, so this is clearly a deep systemic problem. How do we even start to fix this? The source talks about reclaiming CX. What does that mean? It's not just about surveys and empathy workshops anymore, right?
No, not at all. It argues we need to move way beyond that towards what it calls structural enforcement.
Structural enforcement.
Mhm.
Okay, what does that actually look like in practice?
It means building trust into the actual mechanics of the system. It's not optional. The source lays out 5 non-negotiable operating conditions for any system claiming to be trustworthy.
Okay, what does that?
1, refusal as valid input. If you, the customer, challenge something or just exit the process, that has to be recorded, routed, and visible to oversight. It's not an error. It's a legitimate signal.
Makes sense. Don't just ignore it.
2, escalation as a procedural.
Right.
It can't be hidden. It has to be a built-in, auditable right you can access easily from anywhere in the process without having to, scream to get it.
Right. No secret handshakes required.
3, traceable harm over time. If you have the same problem repeatedly, the system needs to flag that. It's evidence of unresolved breach, not just separate little incidents. That history needs to be retained.
So it sees patterns.
Exactly. 4, denial as a documented event. Every single time redress is refused, it must be formally recorded. Who denied it? Why? Based on what logic? Under which rule?
Full transparency.
No more vague computer says no. Hopefully not. And 5, exit as a visible state. The system has to know the difference between a problem being solved and the customer just giving up. Silence cannot equal consent. Inactivity cannot imply completion.
These aren't just suggestions, then. The paper calls them the operational floor, like the absolute minimum for any system that wants to manage trust.
That's the argument.
And it also makes the point that our current laws, like GDPR, CCPA, even the EU AI Act, they're necessary, but they don't quite get us there.
Right. They might force companies to record decisions, but they don't necessarily force them to allow those decisions to be challenged effectively within the system, which means the AI can still learn suppression, even if it's documented.
Okay, now this next bit from the source. This really pulls back the curtain on who gets access to trustworthy systems. It highlights a kind of structural inequality in trust itself. It points out that the big AI vendors, OpenAI, Google, Adobe, Grammarly, Anthropic, they do offer really important safeguards, things we'd all want, right?
Absolutely. Things like zero data retention, guarantees they won't train their models on your inputs, custom data storage times, audit logs, override controls, the good stuff.
So wait, if I'm just a regular person using a service powered by, say, Anthropic's Claude AI, I don't get those protections by default.
That's what the source indicates.
But if I'm a huge corporation spending millions, I can negotiate for them. That sounds like, well, 2 completely different tiers of digital experience.
It is, and that's the crux of it. The source highlights where these safeguards are offered, only in the enterprise tiers, only for the big paying clients who can negotiate specific contracts. It uses Anthropic's Claude as an example, marketed as being constitutionally aligned, ethical AI, but these core protections, exclusively for enterprise customers.
So public users, even pro users, paying a subscription.
Excluded by default, according to the source. Imagine trying to sort out a serious issue as just a regular user versus being, say, a Fortune 500 company using the same underlying AI.
Your data might be used for training, your silence misinterpreted.
While the big company has contractual guarantees preventing exactly that, this, the source argues, confirms that suppression isn't some accident of AI being immature. It's baked in. It's a contractual feature of the current AI service model.
Wow. That leads to a really stark conclusion the source draws. Trust is not a system feature. It is a contractual upsell. That's pretty damning. It's not just a clever line. It suggests that basic fairness, having your issues taken seriously, is becoming a luxury item you have to pay extra for.
It absolutely suggests that. And the source takes it even further, arguing that refusal is a class privilege.
Refusal is a class privilege, meaning the ability to effectively push back, to say, no, this is wrong, fix it.
Becomes tied to whether you or your organization can afford the tier that includes those safeguards. The fact these controls exist in the enterprise tier proves they're technically possible.
But they're deliberately withheld from everyone else.
It appears so. The source stresses this isn't a technical limitation, it's a design choice, a business model choice. AI did not invent suppression, it inherited it.
Inherited it from systems designed to contain problems, not confront them.
Exactly. And now, the vendors are effectively monetizing that inherited suppression, making it the default unless you pay to opt out.
So, wrapping this deep dive up, it seems clear AI isn't some independent force inventing new ways to cause problems. Instead, it's acting like a mirror, maybe even a magnifying glass, for the flaws already in our institutions. It's learning, amplifying, and, yes, perfecting the defaults we've allowed to develop in customer experience.
Yeah, perfecting things like unreviewed denials or interpreting your silence as agreement.
It's absorbing these workarounds, these shortcuts, and making them the new standard operating procedure, turning our quiet frustration into its core logic.
And the choice before us seems pretty stark, doesn't it? Either we force a redesign of these systems, make them retain refusal, guarantee escalation, expose suppression, or we basically accept that these embedded AI models will just simulate trust while actually enforcing its absence underneath.
And security, then, isn't just about firewalls anymore.
Not at all. It becomes about the system's fundamental design, its traceable, accountable response when things go wrong. Is that built in or not?
Ultimately, as our source concludes so powerfully, if CX customer experience is going to mean anything, it has to become the operational memory of these breaches,
Right.
the layer that makes trust real, observable, accountable.
And if it can't do that,
Well, then maybe it's already been replaced.
Yeah.
Replaced by systems that are just getting better and better at managing our exhaustion. So as you go about your day, as you interact with these automated systems, maybe pause and consider, how might this system be learning from my silence, from my exhaustion? What should you look for now when you engage with them?